Thank you so much. My name is Kaveh Shahrooz, as Ladan just mentioned. First of all, I want to thank the organizers of this event, in particular, my dear friend Ladan Bazargan, who's simply been tireless in her pursuit of justice. I know that given the pandemic conditions and given all the obstacles that Oberlin has put in your way, it hasn't been easy to hold a rally in person. So I really want to salute all of you who are physically there. And I want you all to know that we stand with you. I want to start with a personal story. My uncle Mehdad was only 19 when he was arrested by Iran's regime in 1980. His crime was selling political newspapers. He was subjected to a 5-minute kangaroo court. He was tortured to the point where he was paralyzed, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Every few weeks, I would visit him in prison and see the scars and bruises on his body. And in 1988, he, along with thousands of other people like him, were retried by a death commission and sent to die. He never hurt anyone. He never picked up a weapon. He never fired a shot. And when Mehdad was going to hang, Oberlin's professor of peace, Jafar Mahallati, was busy telling the world that there was nothing going on in Iran. When we got the call to come pick up Mehdad's watch and his other few belongings, Oberlin's professor of peace, Jafar Mahallati, was busy telling the world that only those that were on the battlefield were being killed. While my grandmother cried because she wasn't even given a body to bury and wasn't allowed to hold a public funeral, Oberlin's professor of peace, Jafar Mahallati, was busy telling the world that the news of his murder was foreign propaganda. We're gathered here today in person and online because we want accountability. We want to know why a man who knew these facts, and let's not deny the truth here, he knew these facts. We want to know why a man like Jafar Mahallati, who knew these facts and who denied them to the world, is today teaching at one of America's leading schools. We want to know why Jafar Mahallati was ever hired in the first place without proper due diligence on his background. The 1988 massacre is one of the deepest stains on the record of a criminal regime. The 1988 massacre has now been recognized by a great many international institutions as constituting crimes against humanity. Here in Canada, where I live, this massacre was recognized by our parliament as constituting crimes against humanity. But the massacre was actually a double crime. The first crime is obvious. It was the murder of Mehdad and the thousands of young and old people like him. But the second crime was the denial to the world. It was telling the families that had lost loved ones that what they knew to be the truth about this crime simply didn't happen. The second crime was the cover-up. And it was in this second crime that Mahallati was a participant. No, in fact, it was in the second crime that he was a leader. And for that, we want accountability. But let me just say one other thing. I started this campaign with Ladan thinking that it would be an easy one, that we would simply let Oberlin know about Mahallati's background and that they would take action to ensure justice. But in time, we've discovered that there are other guilty parties here. And Oberlin College itself is a guilty party. A college that helps protect evil men like Jafar Mahallati. And make no mistake, Jafar Mahallati is an evil man, is itself helping the cover up of a mass murder 30 years later. A college whose president blocks anyone who raises the issue on social media is itself helping the cover up of mass murder 30 years later. A college that conducts a whitewash and calls it an investigation is itself helping the cover up of mass murder 30 years later. A college that claims absurdly that Mahallati didn't know a crime was taking place, a crime that every human rights institution and the UN were publicly reporting on in 1988. A college that does that is itself helping the cover up of mass murder 30 years later. So today, even though I'm not with you in Ohio, I stand with you in solidarity. And I say to Oberlin that your treatment of this case has been disgraceful. My uncle was hanged for no reason, and you are standing in the way of accountability for that crime. I say to Oberlin that we will not stop our campaign until you conduct a real investigation and not the sham investigation you claim to have conducted. And I say to Jafar Mahallati that I will not rest, we will not rest, until everyone you ever meet knows how you helped cover up a massacre, until everyone in the world knows that you helped the cause of evil. Thank you so much for being there. I stand in solidarity with you.